Hi everyone, welcome to my Game Week 19 team transfer plans. It's a quick turnaround, the deadline's in 1 day's time, Sunday the 29th, 1 o'clock UK time. In this video, I'm going to run you through my squad, the problematic players, including the injuries and suspensions. There's a certain red card in my squad, we'll talk about him later. And I'll also run through my transfer options. I currently have 3 and I'm not sure which way I'm going to go with this. It's a very tricky game week actually, and we'll discuss this in more detail. Now, if this sounds good to you, do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe. Let's get straight into it. My game week 18 wasn't great. It was a small red arrow and I finished with 61 points. It could have been different if I had played Sales, who got 9 points. Can you believe it? And I played Fabianski, who did look on for a clean sheet, but came off injured. I mean, what are the odds? The defense, I had the Arsenal boys who gave me a clean sheet. We will take that. Midfield, Salah and Palmer, the 2 expensive premiums, they delivered. The third premium, Bruno Fernandes, we're going to talk about him in a bit more detail because he's giving me a massive headache. He was my transfer in last week as well, replacing SAKA, who's out for 2 months. Mbumo, Semenyo, both blanks, frustrating. And up top, Isak is the shining light in this team. He's on fire. And the 2 cheap strikers, we're going to talk about them in a bit more detail. They're problematic as well. So as you can see, a mixed bag. It was pretty close to a green arrow, but it wasn't to be. Now I've highlighted on the screen the players who are on a chopping block. Greaves, let's start with him. Now he's cheap. He's lost a bit of value. He's gone down to 3.9 million. Ipswich not exactly keeping clean sheets. And then I've got the rotation headache. Sometimes he's in the squad, sometimes he's not in the squad, which is frustrating. There has been occasions where I've needed that third sub, and that's where he is. So he's someone I might move, and you're going to see one of my transfer options. I could do something very aggressive in that position. The midfield, Bruno, we're going to talk about him in a bit more detail, so let's leave him. We'll come back to him. Mbumo, the cash cow. I want to get rid of him, not because he's been bad. It's more to do what I can do with that money and what it frees up. I can improve up front or I can improve the defense. Like I said a minute ago, you'll see who I can turn Greaves into. And his fixture against Arsenal isn't exactly the most enticing to look at this upcoming game week. Isak, we spoke about him earlier on, flying, hence why he's not highlighted. But these 2, the 2 cheap strikers, they're becoming a problem. They really are. I mean, let's have a look in more detail. When you look at Pedro and Jimenez, they both had 1 return each in the last 6 game weeks. Now, I know they're cheap. I know that, so you shouldn't expect too much, but I think this is below even my realistic expectations. Surely we should be looking at least 2, maybe 3 attacking returns. But at the moment, as you can see, I mean, Pedro, his attacking return was just an assist. At least Jimenez got that goal against Arsenal, where most of us benched him. Admittedly, I got some bench jam that week and he came on for me, so I was very lucky there, but still. Now, the big issue is here. A lot of the cheap strikers are not doing the business at the moment. Welbeck's injured. Wissa's okay, but he's got hard fixtures. Chris Wood has slowed down recently. Cunha's the one who's doing the magic, but we don't know when he's going to get banned. So you don't want to bring in a player like that who you could bring him in. The next thing you know, you have to bench him. He's got 5 or 6 games he's going to miss. So the cheap striker situation is still a problem. And I have been speaking about changing one of them to someone like Jackson, where the irony is even him recently hasn't been returning. And he's been coming off around the 75th minute, which is the same issue I have with Jimenez. All in all, these 2, they're highlighted. They're a problem and I'm really not sure where I'm going to go with them at the moment. You're going to see in one of my transfer plans whether I give them another week and then assess it game week 20. Now let's talk about the main issue in this team, and that is Bruno Fernandes. He was my big signing last week. I took out SAKA, who we know is out injured, and I thought I will keep the money in midfield and bring in Bruno Fernandes. I got a lot of stick for it. Some comments in the video on some of my socials telling me, why are you bringing him in? He's having a poor season. Manchester United having a poor season. And I get that. I totally get that. And now with hindsight, it looks even more silly, this move. But the reality was his underlying data was not too bad. I preferred him than the other premium options. Like I said in my last video, I preferred him to Son, KDB, Foden, and Odegaard. Now, a lot of those guys didn't return. I think Foden was the only one that actually returned. So people that went there, fair play to you. Maybe what I did underestimate is how poor Manchester United are. Now, I've been talking about them being bad. I didn't expect they can get that bad. I mean, honestly, I thought against Bournemouth, they were hideous. I was thinking against Wolves, they're fighting for their life, their relegation battle, and they just comfortably outplayed Manchester United. Now, admittedly, the red card didn't help the situation and the game could have been completely different. And it really frustrated me. Watching that game, I was actually hoping for an attack in return. I ended up getting a -2. So as you can see, I'm super frustrated. I've almost feel like I've wasted a transfer. And I'm going to talk about him in a bit more detail because he's vital to my transfer plans. Let me know in the comments what you think. That whole scenario with Manchester United, Bruno Fernandes, the red card, like what is actually happening in that team? Amorim looks very uncomfortable. Like, he came in super smooth, like almost a young Jose Mourinho, but now he's looking under pressure. And part of me starting to think, is he actually going to make the season? So there's issues upon issues, which is making me even more confused of whether I should keep Bruno or just you know what, just accept it. It was a failed move and bring in a new player. Now let's have a look at some of the transfer options I have available to me. The first one is option 1, do nothing. This has worked well for me recently, not making transfers and just seeing the game week out and trusting my squad. Now, I said that's worked well recently, but when I look at this team and the upcoming fixtures, it doesn't fill me with confidence. This is the 11 I'd put out for game week 19. Get in the comments and let me know what you think. I'd have Sales against Everton, happy about that. Trent against West Ham, gorgeous. The 2 Arsenal defenders against Brentford away, perfect. Arsenal defense just looks solid at the moment. Midfield, the 2 premiums, Salah and Palmer, no problem at all. More than happy with them. I'll have to play Semenyo, who is super frustrating, but he's got Fulham away. But Fulham are not mugs. You saw they beat Chelsea last game week. That was the shock of the game week. Excellent result for them. Fair play to Silva. He's doing an incredible job. And I'd also have to play Mbeumo in my midfield. And he has Arsenal at home. Now, you could argue he'll likely play up front in that, which increases his potential for a return. But then he's playing Arsenal. First of all, they're the best defense in the league. And secondly, I've got 2 of them in my starting 11. So it's never ideal when one of your attackers plays your defenders. And in this 3-4-3 formation, it means I have to resort to playing the 2 misfiring cheap strikers. Isak, I'm happy to play him against anyone. That's how much on fire he is. He's got Manchester United away, which is actually a gorgeous fixture. So this is my option 1, do nothing plan. I am considering this mainly because the quick turnaround, I'm still not 100% sure on any of the strategies, and I'm going to show you the other transfer plans and you might be able to help me in the comments whether you think I should do this or actually make the moves and be aggressive. Let's have a look at my option 2, which is to make 1 transfer. So as you can see, the first part of it would be to sell Bruno. Yep, tail between my legs and admit it was a failure. Sell Bruno for either Sarr or Eza, basically a Crystal Palace attacker. Crystal Palace have gorgeous fixtures, starting with Southampton at home. One of the advantages of this move is instantaneously it gives me a player I can play in game week 19. So I'd start them against Southampton and hope to see the attack in return. The second advantage would be it gives me money in the bank. Bruno's 8.4 million and Sarr's 5.8 million. So that money in the bank means I can improve either up front or the defense. I don't have to do it this week. I can just leave the money in the bank and assess again next week. Now, if I don't do the Bruno route and I decide to keep him on the bench, I could do the Semenyo or Mbeumo, to be fair, but I've put Semenyo here because he's the one who's frustrating me more than Mbeumo. Now, Semenyo would leave and I'll bring in someone like Enzo. Now, you're thinking it's a bit of a sideways move here. Why am I doing this? My thinking is Chelsea are still a better team than Bournemouth, albeit Bournemouth have been excellent this season. Chelsea's the best attacking team in the Prem. Enzo still taking up excellent positions, still getting shots off, and he frees up a little bit more money. And like I said earlier on, that money could be used to improve defense or up top. So that's another option there. It could be in Mbeumo as well. I've put Semenyo in the graphic. I'm not 100% sure. So this is the reason this is option 2. Out of the both routes there, I think my favorite one is actually to move Bruno Fernandes, free up the money. Bruno Fernandes he's missing the next game against Newcastle. After that, it's Liverpool. Yes, the third fixture is Southampton. So that's something to look forward to. But the way Manchester United play at the moment, are you even sure they're going to beat Southampton? So that's option 2. 1 transfer, bank the rest of the money and wait another game week to see what is happening. Get in the comments and let me know what you think about that. And lastly, option 3, which is to be a bit more aggressive and use 2 transfers. Now, I do have 3 transfers, so this still would leave me with 1 transfer in the bank. So it's not a problem, and I can afford to be aggressive if I think the gains are going to be there. Now, in this option, it would be Mbeumo and Greaves. I was contemplating it to be Mbeumo and either Pedro or Jimenez, but I've gone against it and I'm thinking of a different plan, and it's to fully commit to Crystal Palace. as you can see, Mbeumo would go to SAKA. So that frees up a little bit of money there, which allows me to take Greaves. He's only 3.9 million to Munoz. Now, Munoz, I'm excited about him. If you've seen my previous video, I went into a deep dive with him, showed you all the statistics, his heat map, the positions he takes up, and what the manager Glasnost says about him. He's an excellent pick. From my perspective, if I go there, it would possibly mean I start having benching headaches because I've already got 3 premium defenders. So Trent, Timber and Gabriel. I've got a 4th sub Hall who's performing pretty well. And then I'll be adding a 5th defender who I just said to you, have got excellent fixtures and he's super attacking, which will make it difficult to bench because the 3 premiums, I'm definitely playing them. So what would be my play? Well, the thinking is one of those cheap strikers would either eventually be sold or benched for Munoz for his cheap play, and at times I'll play 4-4-2. So I pick one of the best cheap strikers. I play either Pedro or Jimenez. I look at their fixtures and predicted minutes and play one of those, and then play Munoz, Trent, Gabriel and Timber and play the 4 midfielders. So a 4-4-2. So it'll be a change in the system, which I've not done recently in my FPL team. And Mbeumo to SAKA sort of speaks for itself. Mbeumo's fixtures are getting more tricky, and SAKA, you'd like to think, hopefully can match Mbeumo, especially with his upcoming fixtures. Now, another downside of this option 3 is game week 20, they play Chelsea, and I'm looking at 2 players potentially I might want to bench, which isn't ideal. So I'm fully committing knowing that the game week 20, I'm going to have a bit of suffering, but then game week 21, 22, 23, the Palace players look good. So it is a long-term plan, but it's just how comfortable I am with changing my system and playing a 4-4-2, especially as clean sheets. I've not really been around. Only Arsenal have been consistent. Even Liverpool, expensive Trent is not exactly keeping clean sheets. Hopefully, I can capitalize on Munoz, who, if you saw the last game he played, he nearly scored from an Eza cross. So he's getting into the box. As I said, watch my previous video. I go into full detail about Munoz and how much of an exciting pick he is. As you can see, I'm still not 100% sure what to do. This move makes the team look gorgeous for game week 19. Very tempting. I have the 3 transfers, but is it better than option 2 where I make just 1 move, bank the transfers and just wait another game week? Or is option 1 the play where I just look at my team, play the players that even though they don't look like they've got good fixtures like Mbeumo against Arsenal, and just watch and see what happens? It's a bit of a conundrum for me. Honestly, I'm still not certain yet, and I only have 1 day just like you to make the moves. So I'm intrigued to see what you're going to be doing this game week, especially if you're a Bruno Fernandes owner. Are you going to bench him, wait it out and see when he comes back, keep him basically until Southampton? Or nope, you're selling him and you're going to look for someone else? I did consider the Liverpool midfielders, which are a bit of an off-put, to be honest, considering Diaz and Gakpo will be rotating, and Gakpo is flying at the moment, which isn't ideal. Jota, I really like him. I think we all do. But then the minutes, he's not going to be playing 90 minutes yet. I think a lot of people are excited for him to be starting against West Ham. I'm not so sure he even starts that game. The only other midfielders I could think of, I tried to look at Martinelli and Odegaard. I, again, wasn't too excited watching them against Ipswich. Arsenal are still not flying in their attack. Defensively, they're strong. But in attack, it's not clicked yet. I know Jesus scored a couple of goals and a lot of people went in last week and it was very unlucky as well. They're just not clicking at the moment. So this is the reason I'm thinking about Palace and gambling on upcoming fixtures. Yes, I know these are not proven players. Eza and SAKA, they're not going to be premium players and returning like a Palmer Salah. I know that, but I just need them to return at the level of like an Mbeumo, and that's good enough. I hope you enjoyed the video, but more importantly, I hope you found the video useful. Get in the comments and let me know who you're bringing in this game. Now, before you jump off to the next video, do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. Makes a big difference to my videos, so please drop the like. And the last thing I'm going to say is check this video out on the screen right now. It's got incredible transfers for you. Some players, you're going to be considering them for this upcoming game week. Check it out and let me know what you think.